Music Scene Investigation is on the air. I remembered my light this time. I'm a happy camper. Hope you are too. Glad to have you with us today. Rich Wildman here. We are live on the air. There are a lot of people out there who think we don't do this live. If we didn't do this live, could I do this? I don't think so. Yeah, so we are indeed live, and from that, you know it's true. Glad to have you with us. We're going to take and review 3 new songs for our panelists today. And actually, we're going to play them. They're going to review them. That's how it works. So we're going to get to that in just a second. First, however, I want to introduce our panelists to you. And we're going to start with Mr. Tom Chianti over in New York City. Tom, how are you this morning, my friend? Things going well, I hope?
Things are going astoundingly well. We've got a lot of interesting things happening here at the Cube. Unscripted audio is going to kick off the fall. You know, unscripted audio is on Justin. It's a little left of here. It's justin.tv/Almonatomic. And I'm going to mix a track live starting 10 a.m. next Saturday. And do about a 4-hour mix on it. And I have a guest scheduled to show up, another engineer, Mr. Patrick Reeves, who's in Georgia and does a lot of engineering out of there. And we're going to toss and chew back the fat about mix directives and how to do it. And so it's going to be an interesting unscripted. It's going to take in setup of a mix and actually get down and dirty. And of course, I'll be talking until I am hoarse, explaining how it all comes together to make magic, hopefully.
So this is something that you obviously have a track or a song already selected and submitted to you to work on. I'm assuming that your audience is going to be able to participate in this as well, maybe offering their ears to augment yours?
Absolutely. We have a live chat just like here, and anybody can put a suggestion in, say try that lighter, brighter, wider, to the left, just over the shoulder, and, you know, I'll do it and show them why I'm right and they're wrong.
And of course, how to do it as well.
Oh, yeah, and that's basically, I'm going to expound upon my theory of mixing, which is based in physical law of physics. No two sounds can occupy the same space and time.
That is the same theory that they have on Doctor Who when it comes to time travel.
Well, you know, I always said we were sci-fi when it comes to mixing.
Well, Tom, it's good to have you with us. And what time is your unscripted audio again going to take off for that marathon mixing event?
It starts at 10 a.m. October 5th, which is next Saturday. Normally the show starts at 12 p.m. But this coming Saturday, is a special start, 10 a.m. for all you early birds, late birds, and canaries.
All right, 10 a.m. next Saturday at the Cube with Tom Chianti mixing from cradle to grave. It should be good. Mr. Ian Husbands, all the way over in London, England. Ian, welcome back. How you doing, sir? What's your T-shirt today?
I've got stormtroopers on the beach taking their little AT-AT out for a walk.
Aw. Of course, they have him on a leash. There's an AT-AT law, leash law.
That's right, of course. You know, it's a dangerous creature in the wrong hands.
How are you, Ian?
For example. I'm good. Yeah, not too bad. It's been a gigs this weekend, but chilled out the rest of the time. So it's been kind of nice to spend some time with the family and be out playing as well.
Now, I have it on pretty good authority that you didn't go out and do any playing today.
No, I have been crashed on the floor with my kids watching Ice Age Continental Drift and Transylvania Hotel.
Good movies.
Oh, yeah. Great movies.
So enjoyed them both, and the kids liked it as well, so that's a good thing.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, you say you've been keeping busy doing a lot of gigging lately. I know that a Thursday night is a constant gig night for you.
Yeah, we just moved that again. We've been a bit nomadic with that recently, but I think we found our new home down at the Olive Tree in Burnham, or Taplow, depending on which side of the pub you come from. It's actually in 2 postcodes, this place.
Oh, okay.
And it's a guy we've worked with before, got a new pub, and given us a new home, and it's going from strength to strength, which is good to say.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad that things are going well there. Now, tell me about last week and our witness statements, if you wouldn't mind. I've got the list of the artists from last week. Dr. Music 59, Christoph Klusek, and Lupi Adorno were on the broadcast last week to be reviewed by our panelists, in which Brett Campbell from Middle Tennessee Music was our guest panelist. So how did the witness statements pan out this time around, Ian?
Well, we've had a few bad weeks, and our witness statements have reflected that in many ways. In one week, we had actually the highest we've ever had, and this week we've had the lowest we've ever had, with one person voting. Obviously, they didn't think much of the music last week. As we know, it was quite a difficult week last week, and that one person did agree with us every step of the way.
So in other words, your vote counted this week.
It wasn't even my vote this week, no. So someone's got out there, they voted. I mean, come on, guys, in the chat room. Even if the music's not as nice or as great as you'd like to hear, put your vote in. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we always like to hear what our audience has to say. It's very important that you get your word out. You get your say across the bow, so we can bring it to you every week and let everybody know that we're actually listening to you as well. Anything else on? I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Keep us honest.
Is that what they're doing?
Well, they're keeping us.
There you go. That's half the battle. Ian, anything else going on?
Lots and lots. Working on an album and videos to go with said songs. So trying to do that in tandem. So it's a slow old process, but getting some good results. So that's all I'm going to say. All
right. Well, good. We're looking forward to hearing that when it's available.
Thing, actually,
yes, sir.
One thing.
Okay.
Live on air keyboards.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm going to say.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up, and we won't go into that. We not here on air, please.
Keyboards.
I know. Our guest panelist today is gosh, I gotta tell you, this guy works harder than anybody I know. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It seems like this guy is always working. I follow him on Twitter. I think you should too. From Apes, Pigs, and Spacemen, Mr. Paul Miro. Paul, welcome back to the broadcast. Glad to have you back with us.
Nice to be here. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing well. How do you do it without getting any sleep? It seems like at all hours of the day or night, you're working, at least according to your Twitter account.
Yeah, well, I think, because I can't afford for, like a lot of these celebrity guys, for there to be someone who mans the Twitter account, then it's obviously me doing it. And I think I've had a lot of comments on that of like, yeah, you are actually there all the time, aren't you? I think it's just a drive to work. It's a case of, since I was 15, I realized that you don't live long enough to get everything done that you want to do. And to fund what I do, I have to do a lot of things that I don't necessarily, it's easy for me to say, I don't necessarily want to do. So I'm kind of having to put in 120 hours every week. And I'm just fortunate with my metabolism, I can survive on 2-3 hours a night of sleep. So, and coffee, a lot of coffee.
Now, I know, speaking of coffee, you and Ian go back and forth about coffee, it seems like, every morning on Twitter. But aside from that, I know that you guys also go back and forth about a number of things. One of the things I see that goes back and forth between you guys on Twitter a lot has to do with some of your video work, particularly one of my favorite songs by you, Kings of Mediocrity. Tell me a bit about that video, and I want to talk about that a bit because I know it's up for an award.
Yeah, it is up for award, which you should all vote for in Artists for Music 2014, which I'm sure there'll be a link up to somewhere on this wonderful place at some point during the evening. But yeah, it's essentially a stab across the bows at the X Factor, reality TV, and all of those Simon Cowell productions of people who perhaps should be shining shoes and working in supermarkets, becoming celebrities, and celebrating mediocrity as opposed to people who can actually play and write music. And Mr. Ian Husbands is the guy responsible for the video. It was actually originally going to be a bonus track on my album, Sometimes You Get, Sometimes You Get Got. But when I launched the pledge-funded album, the reaction from fans who pledged was, you've got to put this track on the album. And the rest went from there, really. I went with the fans as soon as they funded the album. And Ian kindly made a video that really sums it up most amazingly.
Yeah, I'm pleased as punch to have a copy of that album, and I can't tell you how much I enjoy it, because it's just an amazing album in my mind, and I am grateful that you actually put that song on the album as well, because when I first heard it, even without the video, it just blew me away, and by far one of my favorite tracks of all time. So I thank you for that. And Ian has indeed put a link to the Artist in Music Awards category for the Best Video of the Year. You can check out all the videos, but only vote for one, and that one should be Kings of Mediocrity by Mr. Paul Miro. Now, Paul, what else have you got going on? It's been a while since we had you on the broadcast with us.
It has. It's been non-stop this year. Like most years, I've not been doing as much live work this year. I've pulled out of doing solo acoustic stuff for a while, partly because of time and partly because I didn't feel it was attracting the right crowds with the audiences that were coming along to shows. So I've pulled back and concentrated a heck of a lot more on studio. My band, Apes, Pigs and Spacemen, who we had quite a roller coaster during the early 90s. We signed the worst record deal in history, but we did make quite an impact over here and in Europe. We've got back together. We're working on our fourth album, which is going to be called Human Zoo, which is going to be really back to what we consider our art metal melodic stuff with big hefty riffs and huge vocals. I'm also working on another solo album, and in between all of that, I'm doing a heck of a lot for library commissioned work for EMI and Sony and other subsidiaries to pay the bills, really, with the usual manic deadlines. It changes by the week. There's the record industry, the people who run TV companies, the people who are involved in film are increasingly reluctant to pay writers. They think that writers getting any money is something that they can do without. And therefore, you're having to put in more hours to get a diminished return. And I'm finding that this year, I'm probably doing 4 times as much as I was last year for the same amount of money as the year before. So.
Now, I know that here we talked during the pre-show about some of the work you've been doing over the last day or so. You said you've been doing some auto-tuning work, and I, of course, again, I just want to publicly apologize for that, because apparently, like I said during the pre-show, somebody accidentally sent you one of my songs, and I might have been off a little bit, but, you know, so.
But you were consistently off, Rich, so it's just got to, like, put a pencil under the table.
Yeah, I hope I was consistently off, yeah.
You know what? I mean, that is a valid point. I mean, it's not with your tracks, Rich, but if there is a track, I mean, I have a lot of this stuff where people, it's not the quality of the recording a lot of the time. I think it's the people who are engineering in studios who have come from, I don't know, they're not engineers anymore. They're people who go on courses and they don't label tracks correctly. They're sending you projects that have got lots of presets running on them and things that are totally unnecessary, and the gain structure's all wrong. So before you can even start the editing process, you've got this absolute heap of crap to go through because people aren't doing their jobs correctly. And like you're saying about consistently out of tune, you know, like people who sing well, surprisingly, yeah, you know, you get people who are consistently flat, consistently sharp, and especially if they're tracking backing vocals, you will find that they are hitting that same note around about the same kind of thing. So you can use a Melodyne template and just shift it, as opposed to having to track absolutely every single thing in real time. And that can be a lot more swiftly accomplished than people who are just really bad singers.
Yeah, well, sorry about that.
Yeah, well, Rich, next time, if
next
you just
time
get by engineer. Yeah. And, like just with a scorecard, just maybe, when you're close to the note, it gives you a 7, and anything lower than a 7, just do another take.
Or either that, or just like Ian says, stick to the keyboards, huh?
Yeah, but I had to auto-tune them last time as well.
Oh, yeah, well, at least this time we get it to Ian, and he can handle it. So,
yeah. Paul, you got Ian. You got to understand, Rich's voice is like a gravity well. So when he goes out of tune, the density of his gravity well just pulls instruments just way out of reality.
Rich's black hole.
Well, there you have it.
Hang about. If Rich is a black hole, in the science of this, sound travels slower than the speed of light. Black holes swallow light, so thus sound's being swallowed. Thus, Rich opens his mouth and nothing comes out.
That's the way it should be.
There was only one person in the chat room last week.
All right. Now, I do want to ask you one more question. I know that prior to the broadcast beginning, as I was rewiring things here in studio, you guys had talked, you and Ian and Tom had talked a bit about some stuff, and I didn't get the whole of this, which is why I'm going to ask it in this way. You were talking a bit about some YouTube stuff. Am I correct in that? Maybe some new video stuff that's going on? Did I hear that right?
It's mainly, I'm doing a bit of because YouTube you don't have to subscribe and it's public. I've decided through popular demand really to start launching just album art videos. I've got about 40 up there at the moment of classic Apes stuff from my early albums, unreleased stuff, rarities, things from my solo albums, things from acoustic collections. And over the next 6 months or so, I'm going to be putting about 200 tracks up there, most of which is not available anymore, but some of it is still available from my store. And some very positive feedback so far.
Well, excellent. I'm looking forward to that because I've got this great little application that allows me to download everything from YouTube.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about making a VHS or beta copy of everything and bootlegging it out on the corner.
Oh, yeah. That sounds kind of the way the music industry's gone. I think that'd be great. And if you could just rip the audio at really low quality MP3, and then people will be playing it in their phones and dancing at bus stops and everything. That'd be brilliant.
Ringtones. You hit it on the head. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got a business plan. I'll cut you in for 5%. What do you think?
5% sounds good because YouTube pay 0.0000001%.
Well, I tell you, I am looking forward to seeing some of those videos and hearing some of the music. I mean, I've got your latest album. I'm just pleased as punch with it. So the more I can hear of you, the better off I am, I think. And I think everybody else would feel that way as well.
Well, thank you kindly, sir.
Well, I do want to get on to the business at hand, gentlemen, and all things being equal, while we love talking to you, Paul, I'd rather hear you talk about the music you hear on the broadcast. So if you don't mind, I'd like to play song number 1 for everybody today and get our panelists' opinion of it. So today, here is the first song on Music Scene Investigation. Here it is, everyone. Song number 1. Now, I'm looking to see why I'm not hearing this. Stand by while I fix stuff here, because I know exactly what's wrong. Now, I apologize to everybody ahead of time about this, because what it was is I had an issue with the network connection prior to the broadcast this morning. So I had to go through and do some wiring, and in doing that, I should have loaded the music again, but I didn't. So I'm in the process of doing that right now. It will just take me 1 second. I appreciate your patience, and we'll get back to the music in just a second. Again, my apologies. This is song number 1.
In a million years, I never thought it end like this. I'd be living alone with us both left in tears. In my wildest dreams, I never thought you would leave until the truth had set in. You were living with him. And if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. Ooh. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends. Still friends. Let the truth be told, I know I broke a heart for sure. I wasn't ready to say I love you, don't go away. With the bond we shared, it wasn't like I never cared. I was just finding my way. I couldn't expect you to wait. And if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. Still friends. Oh. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends. Still friends. And if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. Still friends. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends. We're still friends. There's always something there to take me back, reminding me when we were one. Those days were sweet and ain't no changing that. You should have been the one. The timing wasn't right to make it last. The chemistry was just so strong. You wanted it all, I couldn't deliver that. The writing was on the wall, yeah. And if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. Hey, yeah. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends. We're still friends. We're still friends. And if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. I never see you again. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends. At least we know we're still friends. And if I
There is song number 1 on today's MSI. I apologize for the issues. As I said, we had a small network issue prior to the broadcast. I had to do a little rewiring in studio, and I believe we got it all taken care of now, since obviously the music played. Let's go to our panelist, Mr. Ian Husband, first. Find out what he thought of track number 1. Ian, what do you think?
That speaking over the intro really put me off, and then I realised it was you.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do a song like that one of these days and submit it.
I've got one we can use.
Okay, it just needs keyboards, right?
Yeah, that's right. All right. I like the groove on this. I really do. This has got a nice groove to it. Drums were solid. Bass sat nicely. Yeah, I mean, everything about this sort of had a good feel. I mean, obviously, there's a heavy influence of Stevie Wonder going on here. The nice wah guitars, the organ sounds. I mean, everything sort of sonically was nice. I did feel that, and I'm going to say this is for a change, we normally complain about vocals not being present enough on tracks, but with this, I did feel the vocals were slightly too up front. I'd like to have heard them more in the mix. There was a lot of good stuff going on there, and some of it was just getting washed over by the backing vocals and the harmonies coming in. It was washing out the instrumentation. But, I mean, the guy's got a really soulful delivery. I think there's quite a good hook there as well. And the arrangement had a lot of movement in it. I mean, it seemed a bit everything in your face, too loud. I think you could probably breathe a bit more dynamic in just by getting the mix a bit smarter and a bit more space on the instruments, and just making it all sit together a bit better. It just seemed all a bit too up front. You could lay this back a bit and just give it a bit more air and a bit more space around that vocal, and let that vocal sit in that mix a lot better. But, I mean, otherwise, I haven't got much bad to say about it. Like the lyrics, like the delivery. It just did seem those vocals were a bit too up front for my liking.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ian. And over to Mr. Tom Chianti. Tom, what's your take on track number 2?
Yeah,
track number 1.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I like this. It's Stevie Wonder, yes. Three Dog Night, definitely, with the horns.
Mm-hmm.
And they sounded good. I didn't care to figure out whether they were live or sampled, but all very nicely, tightly packed, and an interesting song with nice changes and transitions. Nice bass and a nice topic, and I actually wanted the mix to bring the vocals not up, but forward towards me more in the mix. Because when everything, especially on the outro I got a problem with, was very long, very repetitive. It's a great groove, and I didn't mind hearing it repeated a couple of times, but 6 or 7 times it seems like it's just a little bit too much. Of course, if you're lost in the music because it's that type of song, you don't, and especially if you're doing this live, you just keep rambling with it and going. But the outro was just a little bit too long for my taste. Yeah, I agree with Ian. The talking in the beginning has to go. And other than that, a well thought out, structured piece of music, and just those vocals have to be clarified a little bit more, because at the end, when everything does come in with the background, like Ian says, it's a balance question, of balance, I think, really, where things start grabbing your attention all at the same time. And it gets a little distracting. You want things to sit so that you just glide across the mix and everything is presented there for you. This is very well done, though.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. And over to Mr. Paul Miro. Paul, your take on track number 1?
Really like the vocal, really sold on the guy's voice. I agree with everything Rich and Tom said. The mixing, I mean, hey, it's an art. That sounds like a bunch of really good players, really good song, great hook. Arrangement is good up to, as Tony said, the end section, which sounds kind of like the band didn't want to stop. A little bit of concentration on arrangement there, maybe focusing more on getting even more of that nice vocal improvisation thing out, selling a bit of that over, like an Otis Redding thing of nothing really happened interestingly from the point of experimentation and showing what a guy can do till those last 8 bars. Just make it 8 bars, not 32. Mix wise, yeah, I'm with Tom. The thing is with mixing vocals, I have this discussion with so many fellow engineers and producers. So much time has to be spent. The thing is now in studios, there are so many shortcuts, so many presets with compressors and de-essers and EQs and things that people think they don't have to spend the time on the actual audio files itself. And that vocal was kind of as present in the mix as it could be with the sibilance that was there. They couldn't push a de-esser any harder, else it would be obviously a de-esser. But they should look at, my word of this year, or my phrase of this year, is gain structure. And just going in and spending 4 or 5 hours taking out every S, just reducing the gain of every S, pulling back the gain of the actual input so it's not driving hard, and then allowing all of these wonderful pieces of kit to do the work that they can't do when they're pushed to the buffers, because they just start distorting. So people start pulling things back in the mix and they start disappearing. So pull the whole thing back to -10 or -15 even on all of the inputs, and then start engineering to the point of getting as much life out of every instrument as you can, increasing the dynamic range, and then don't flatten it at the end by brick wall mastering, because that is a great track that could feel just as loud if it was mixed in a more sensitive way. And I think that the mix is the only thing that they're like down on a little bit of arrangement at the end. Other than that, great vocal, great song, great playing. I like it. To me, the Three Dog Night thing, like Tommy said, it reminded me of Brecker Brothers or like Herbie Hancock with the keys. There was so many things like I grew up with in the jazz funk thing, that real chilled out kind of Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening out at a club sort of thing. Makes you think of sunshine. Really, 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 really nice song.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Paul. Go ahead,
Ian. I think Paul hit what I was trying to say, the nail on the head. Sensitive to the mix. That needs a sensitive mix, and at the moment it's not.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
that was the good term for saying it. I was struggling to put my point across, and that's a perfect way.
All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's thoughts on that. The name of that track is called Friends, and that is by Chris Chandler, and we appreciate Chris sending that into Music Scene Investigation. If you'd like to get your song in front of the panel, go to musicsceneinvestigation.com. Click the Submit a Song button at the top of the page. Follow the instructions there, making sure the song is original and radio-friendly under 5 minutes, and we'll get that track in front of the panel. You can bet on it. Now, gentlemen, we have 2 more tracks to go through today. As long as everything plays on my end, I think we'll get there as well. This is track number 2 on today's MSI. Enjoy it, everyone. Track number 2. And that is track number 2 on today's MSI. We're going to head over to Mr. Tom Chianti first this time around, find out what he thought. Tom, track number 2 to you.
Yeah, I like this one too. Another track, lots of great playing. Not 100% sold on the drum sound, a little too toppy for me, but it cuts through nicely, nice big guitars. Overall, I found it to be a little dark mix-wise, and I'm still undecided about the vocal performance. It's restrained, and he doesn't seem like he's singing with the confidence that he should, no matter what he's singing about, whether he's wondering about something when he's singing or asking a question or telling a story. You want the vocalist to be self-assured of himself and what they're singing. You got a little pitchy here and there, a little hesitant, reticent, and that was, I think, the weakest part on this track. Again, love, it was a dark mix, and that doesn't mean it wasn't clear. It was clear, but it's nice to hear big guitars that are warm and more fuzzy as opposed to brittle and like head tearing off. This was a very good mix to get those guitar sounds like that, so I like that. Just the vocalist sounded like he had something covering in front of his face and not really selling me the song on his performance. Everything else was great, though.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Over to Mr. Paul Miro next. Paul, track number 2 to you as well.
Okay, I don't know if I was listening to the same track as Tommy there. I didn't get the mix at all. Personally, totally agree about the vocals. It sounded like Ozzy Osbourne in between rehab sessions. It wasn't delivered with any conviction, and it seemed like it was the singer was in a different kind of band somehow. You got a lot of kind of hefty riffing going off. Now, thing is, working with rock so intrinsically, there are some unforgivable things there if you're presenting that around. You can't have, if you're playing riffs, you can't have the guitars out of time with the bass. And that was a thing that throughout that with me it wasn't together. It wasn't gelling. It was almost like, yeah, I know what you want to do there, guys. And it could really work. Guitar was swamped in too many effects. It was like Zoom pedal frenzy. It was kind of like every effect pedal with a mic in front of the cap. I think from a production angle, I think the guitars would work. I agree from the point of keeping the weight there, although there was a heck of a lot of 70 hertz and a lot of around 300 hertz in there that needs to be pulled out for me. I'd think it would be better to track the guitars as opposed to try and get the biggest guitar sound in the world out of one. And also, if they are slightly, like intrinsically human beings will be not gelled at some points, then just pull them in time in whatever program that you're using and lock them together. And the drums, I thought, it sounded, I don't know if it was a machine, but it just seemed to be one loop throughout the track that I thought, again, could have enhanced the arrangement if it was complementing what the riffs were doing. That said, I did like the overall, forgetting the fact that to me sounded like a very rough demo. I think that there is something in there that made me interested. So from that point of view, I don't think the song sucked, and I don't think that the parts sucked. I just think it needs to be presented in a more polished form.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Paul. Thank you. And over to Mr. Ian Husbands. Ian, your thoughts?
Paul was saying about it sounds like a different vocalist singing with the wrong band. For me, it was like sort of a wannabe Robert Smith's trying to sing with Disturbed, and it didn't gel. Yeah, it's a dark mix. I agree with Paul. Them guitars were too dark. They were too flat. They needed a bit more mids around, sort of high mids around them. They just, to me, it was just all very flat and stuck in the background. That vocal really, I think, is the big problem throughout the track. I mean, The guy needs to remember phrasing, diction, timing, and tuning, all of which were bad in places on this. And again, you know, there was no favours done for the vocalist in the mix either. He was low, and the use of reverb I didn't like at all. That sort of really sort of close slap back on it as well. It just didn't work for me. Guitars did sound great. I said they need something. They need a bit of shine on them somewhere, those guitars. But there were timing issues on them, I found as well. It sounded like they'd tracked them left and right, and in places they weren't sort of hooking together, and it really did sort of affect my ears. It was auto panning backwards and forwards, and I didn't like that at all. I mean, yeah, there's some good riffs, there's some competent playing. The solo was pretty good. I think there was a few falters towards the end. So I think there's definitely the start of something here, but that vocalist needs to start singing with some conviction and getting his timing and phrasing a bit better as well.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate it, gentlemen. The name of that track, the track number 2, is called Walls of Pain by a group called Sanctioned to Life. We appreciate their sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. Thanks so much, guys. Now, we have a track number 3, as we do every week, gentlemen. So without further ado, we'll get that track on so I can get your thoughts on it. This is track number 3 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Here it is, everyone.
Like a lion sage who seeks his advice from dead friends. I am David, life's Goliath, slingshot one rock into the head of a giant. Sip on hatred, rage and riot, crash and burn into a pirate defiance. Pair of dress shoes I've come to own. A wisdom, not a couple tack holes, a plastic smile and a worried stone. I am bound for now to fold my hands and let a smile be the only time I'll show my teeth. Gone are my days as a freer man in the way of a word, thought, and deed. Slingshot one rock into the head of a giant. Set on hatred, rage and riot, rocking to the head of a giant. Sip on hatred, raging riot, crash and burn into a pile of defiance. And I am David, life's Goliath, some someone rocking to the head of a giant. Sip on hatred, raging riot, crash and burn into a pile of defiance. I am David. Whoa.
Song number 3 on today's music scene investigation. You know how it works. We start this round out with Mr. Paul Miro. Paul, song number 3 to you, my friend. What do you think?
Well, the first 4 bars, when that guitar started, I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be good. And that's as good as it got for me. I liked the tone of the guitar, and I liked that playing style, that kind of pulling with fingers as opposed to heavy picking. And I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be some nice kind of hefty country rock type of things, maybe in Black Crowes territory or something like that. First thing that scared me was what I'll call club singer syndrome, is the over-aggressive delivery of first words of line to give the impression of passion, but actually you're just shouting like a trombone. It stops people listening to the rest of whatever you're saying. It's kind of, I'm here and now's my verse. I'm here and then. It's a bit like a bingo caller. You've really got to rein that in, because honestly, it is any A&R man, club singer, verse 1, that's going out the window. You just don't get away with that. Other things you don't get away with are sloppy playing. That outro section, God knows what you guys were thinking on that. Drums were out of time. The bass player was off on Spliff Heaven or something. I really don't know what was happening. It was just like walking bass. He was Derek Smalls on bass on that one. It was just, I mean, I was shocked. If you're gonna present anything for people to listen to, and this is real constructive stuff here, there's no way anymore that rough demos are going to get any play or anybody's to listen to it, because there's no real excuse for it. There's always going to be someone who can rein it in. There's always going to be someone who will say, nah, actually, guys, maybe we need to work on this arrangement. Maybe you need to go through that a few more times. But also, at absolute worst, there's going to be someone who can put your drums into Pro Tools and put them in time. And also, there's going to be someone, again, another thing here, the obligatory guitar solo was 3 times too long, and the first 8 bars were great, but then it was kind of like, whoa, guitar solos are meant to go, this guitarist really good. And for the first 8 bars, it could have been like, oh yeah, that's cool, that fits the song pretty well. But the rest was not great playing and not doing the guitarist any favors. So either do a few more takes till you get one that impresses everyone, rather than like, yeah, that's the solo done, we've only got 4 hours left in the studio. Or just wait till you got the time to do that. But be your own critic. Be critical of your own parts, rather than kind of going, yeah, well, I was great. There was a lot of self-indulgence in that. And also from the song itself, it was overlong. It wasn't really till the very last chorus that I realized that was a chorus. Way too many verses, but again, because of the shouty delivery on the first syllable of every verse, I wasn't really listening to what the words were. It was maybe a good story, maybe a big story, but it was too many verses for a first listen.
All right. I appreciate that, Paul. Thank you very much. Now over to Ian and his thoughts. Ian, track number 3, sir.
Well, I can tell you it was about David and Goliath, if that's any help, Paul.
Yeah, I gathered that by the end there. Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Yeah,
Christian rock, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in a lot I agree with Paul. I mean, I actually like the guy's voice. Yes, he was a bit sort of attacking on the first part of the lines and stuff like that, but you know, I think he's actually got a good voice. Do you remember FM, Paul? Steve Overland.
Yeah. I think, no, I'm not saying the guy's not got a good voice. I'm just saying use it in a studio environment that's going to make people listen. It's not, you know, it's to me that era is something that comes from doing way too many gigs with bad PAs, and you stop. You know, he won't have written it that way. It won't be a situation where he's perhaps even thinking about it. They've played that song probably 1,000 times at gigs and in the rehearsal room, and you get into a lazy style of vocal delivery. I mean, I'm a vocalist. I know, I've done this, and you know, you listen back and go, yeah, right, okay, time to just go back to thinking about this when we do it, rather than going through the motions and into this development of what's come from doing this too often. You just start performing in it a different way. Guy has got a really interesting voice. He just needs to not overdo it when he's recording.
I was just going to ask, do you think he sounded like Steve Overland from FM, personally?
Yeah, I agree. I also thought there was. I also think there was a bit Dawes-ishness in his voice there as well.
Yeah. There is actually. I mean, but you know, yes, the bass player wandered off into spliff heaven with the drummer sometimes. I think as well. You know, I think
yeah.
Having their own little party in the corner. This is fun, and we're enjoying this. Middle 80s drifted a little bit, and on the outro, it definitely drifted a little bit. But my biggest problem was that guitarist. I didn't like the sound. I didn't like his performance. You know, I wanted to sort of bring a real guitarist in to play over the top of that. Paul's right. The solo was you know, far too long. The first 8 bars were perfect. Leave it at that. That's fine. But I didn't like, you know, everything in that guitar part. It was too loud. It was really brittle, the sound, and you know, there was parts missed and badly played, and I wasn't enjoying it at all. It really did ruin the whole thing for me. The guy's got a great voice. The bass player, if you paid a bit more attention, could actually hold that groove really nicely. I think the drummer can as well, and as Paul said, you know, things like this are easily corrected these days. You can shift that around and get that really tight. You know, you've got a good track here, good solid track, maybe a little bit dated, maybe a little bit 80s rock and roll, but you know, some good performances and good ideas going on there if it wasn't flat guitarist.
All right. I appreciate that, Ian. Thank you very much. Over to Mr. Tom Chianti. Tom, what do you think, buddy?
Well, both the fine young cannibals before me really chewed this up justifiably in the correct manner. Yes, it reminded me a little bit of Blind Faith, maybe a little Traffic, maybe it was more early 70s to me, and I totally agree with Paul, you know, and it got repetitive, redundant. The guy does have a good voice, and he could have laid into it. The mix has definitely got problems. That guitar, like Ian said, is too loud, and everybody's saying the first 8 bars of that solo were pretty good. You know, because that other guitar was too loud, it sounded to me like the lead solo just sort of fumbled in instead of started. You know, it was coming off the large guitar part, which was missing parts, which is out of time. Yeah, these guys need to go back and re-record. And, I mean, yes, you can fix it and everything in the mix or in mastering or whatever, but these guys are a band, and they should, you know, get this thing. This would be a great song live. They should really just tighten up, bear down, and then when they go into the studio, you know, you'll have a better, they'll play better balanced. And things will sound and fall into place because they're not going to be falling all over each other in the timing. You know, bass parts hitting where the kick drum isn't or is, and guitar or strums out of tune and bent will be straightened out in time, and everything will fall into place. So this does need, you know, to be re-recorded, I think, with better performances. and more mindful performances. I didn't really care for the snare drum sound. It was a little too woody for me. Overall, the vocal could have come up. Yeah, this has got a lot of issues, but like Ian says, there's a good song here. There's a lot of promise going on with it, and I think a little bit better rehearsed, a little bit more TLC all the way around on everybody's part, and this thing will shine.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you very much. The name of this track is called I Am David by Zach Caruso. Zach Caruso, we appreciate Zach sending that track in to us. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, you have a task ahead of you. As always, every week we ask you to decide on a song of the week. This week is no different. I'll let you talk about it and let us know what you think.
I've got nothing to talk about. I'm going to go with number one this week because I think
sure.
It is the most complete that we've heard, and that guy's voice is fantastic. It makes attention, but it probably needs the least amount of work to get there.
All righty.
Mix was the only fault. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, like Tommy's comment, the other two bands, the whole secret about before you go in the studio is be ready to go in. The first guy it's just not been mixed right, and tiny bits of arrangement problem. The other two bands just need to spend a lot more time being ready to go in the studio before they go in.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah. That's why I said, Ian, Paul, shut up, come on, let's go on next. I totally agree. We're all in agreement. We've got 5 o'clock. It's time to go. Say goodbye, ring the bell,
all right.
Let the dog out.
All right, well, there you have it. Unanimous decision. Chris Chandler and his track, Friends, is Song of the Week. Paul, thank you for being with us again. I know that you're a busy guy, but I certainly hope you can come back and join us again very soon.
Absolutely, yeah. Just give me a shout. My people will talk to your people and all of that, which means one of you will talk to me.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks again. And Ian and Tom, as always, love to have you guys here every week. You know that. You have no choice anyway.
It's just peer pressure.
Yeah, I know.
And who have we got on the show next week?
On our broadcast next week, we have... I'm going to let Ian tell you. It's a surprise. He's been working on this a long time.
We have a Canadian musician by the name of Ian Blackwood. He's a multi-instrumentalist, producer, has got his own studios, and has a few connections with a band, which we'll talk more about on the show, I'm sure.
And if you want to know more, just Google. Use Google, look him up, and find out. I think Ian just likes having other people on the show that share his name. Ian.
It's going to make for a confusing show, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're looking forward to it. Certainly hope you join us then. Until that time, we're going to play out with Friends by Chris Chandler, this week's Song of the Week. Thanks for being here, everyone. We'll see you again next week right here on Music Scene Investigation. Thanks for being with us.
Years, I never thought it end like this. I'd be living alone with us both left in tears. In my wildest dreams, I never thought you would leave until the truth had set in. You were living with him, and if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. Ooh. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends. Still friends. Let the truth be told, I know I broke a heart for sure. I wasn't ready to say I love you, don't go away. With the bond we share, it wasn't like I never cared. I was just finding my way. I couldn't expect you to wait. And if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. Still friends. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends. Still friends. And that we're still friends, still friends. And if by chance we meet again, there's no doubt that we're still friends, we're still friends. There's always something there to take me back, reminding me when we were one. Those days were sweet and ain't no changing that. You should have been the one. The timing wasn't right to make it last. The chemistry was just so strong. You wanted it all, I couldn't deliver that. The writing was on the wall, yeah. And if I never see you again, at least we know that we're still friends. Hey, yeah, yeah. And if by chance we